fact that I have to test my audio to make sure that you guys can't hear my dad snoring in the background is ridiculous. Hey guys, it's Story. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Story. This is my book channel where I talk about books. But today I'm going to be talking about something that is not about books. It is about Netflix. Like about 90% of the population, I would say, I binge watch Netflix series all the time, or shows that aren't from Netflix. They're just added on to Netflix in general. And over time, I have watched a lot of shows, and I want to recommend you guys some shows. People ask me all the time for show recommendations. I see people asking for Netflix recommendations on Twitter all the time, and I just love talking about my favorite shows, so that's what I'm going to do here today. This is going to be my top 10 shows to watch on Netflix. Obviously, I haven't seen every show on Netflix. For example, I have a feeling after I watch Jane the Virgin, I would have this on my list. I've wanted to watch Jane the Virgin for forever. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of like other shows I haven't watched that are popular on Netflix that I'm sure you guys have seen recommendations for like so many times. I've noticed I typically don't like the shows that are super popular. For example, I don't like Stranger Things. Don't kill me, but for every show I give the chance, I always watch the first 3 episodes. So for Stranger Things, I watched the first 3 episodes and I didn't like it. I was super bored. I thought it was like super childish. I'm not trying to talk crap about it. I just want you guys to understand like my taste. So for example, if Stranger Things is like #1 on your list, you probably won't have the same taste. So some shows on this list are popular and you've probably heard of them before, but some of them aren't. I'm gonna start with my 10th favorite Netflix show and go down the list to #1, and I'll explain why I liked them all so much, what they're about, etc. So let's just get started. I'm just gonna scoot over here real quick so you guys can see the cover photo for each show. Number 10 on this list is Carrie Diaries. So this is about Carrie Bradshaw, who is the main character of Sex and the City, as most of you will probably know, but this show takes it back to when she was a teenager in high school in the 80s. This show caught my attention because I remember seeing all the bright colors of the show, and then once I found out it was Carrie Bradshaw as a teenager, I was hooked from the beginning. I honestly didn't expect too much from this show, but it is so good and it is so underrated. Unfortunately, there's only 2 seasons because the show was canceled after 2 seasons, but the first 2 seasons are really good. I did not expect the show to be so addicting. It is similar to Sex and the City, but it's not as intense. So if you're looking for a show to watch really quick and you're into like 80s, or you're into like fashion or high school drama, that type of stuff, then you should definitely check this one out. My 9th favorite show is Criminal Minds. If you are a Law and Order fan, an NCIS fan, or anything like that where it has to do with the FBI or police trying to catch criminals, you're going to love Criminal Minds. It is the best criminal show I've ever seen. I think it's special from the other ones because it deals with serial killers. In other shows, it's just, you know, like normal murderers, as if there's like normal murderers, but I don't know what it is, but serial killers, like getting in the mind of a serial killer is so intriguing and so interesting. And even if you think you wouldn't be into that, just watch the first like few episodes. You just get so hooked. It does a really good job of explaining just the way the FBI agents can get in their mind and just like solve these mysteries is crazy. If you like mystery, or you like action, or you like those criminal type of shows, you are going to love this. There's like 12, 13 seasons, something like that, so it's gonna take you a while to get through. So yeah, you definitely have to be dedicated to it, but it is super addicting. The good thing about this show is you don't have to watch it like every episode in a row. They do a really good job of intertwining the FBI agents like background stories with what's going on, and it's drawn out over the whole show. You can give a little break. When you start it again, you're not gonna feel like you're completely lost. My little sister just recently watched this show, and I've been trying to get her to watch it for the longest time because she loves Law and Order, and she finally started it and was like crazy addicted to it. I think she finished it in like 2 or 3 weeks maybe. But anyways, moving on, number 8 is Friends. How could I make a Netflix recommendation video without including Friends on this list? Friends is the best like sitcom TV show from back in the day, in my opinion. So funny, and it's a very like natural, genuine funny. It just seems so realistic. You just like truly believe these people are friends and are intertwined the way they are, like through their history. Like it just seems really realistic. It's hilarious. Every character is very individually like their own character, and yet I relate with every single one of them somehow. If you're looking for a long show, this is 10 seasons, but it's not like a drama. You just want something lighthearted and funny, but maybe a little bit of drama in there, then you're really going to like Friends. If you've never seen at least one Friends episode, I would be really surprised, honestly. I grew up with Friends. My parents watched Friends when I was younger, and so it was just one of those shows that was always around, and I always would love watching it every now and then, even though I was younger. If you're worried there's not going to be any drama in this show and you really like dramatic shows, don't worry, because there's a lot of Rachel and Ross drama. It is my favorite part about Friends. My favorite character is Ross, mainly because he was my favorite character when I was young, because I was obsessed with dinosaurs and he studies dinosaurs. That's how he became my favorite character, but after watching it as an adult, I just love him and Rachel together. Their whole like drama is just what kept me watching. If you don't like drama and you're just looking for some comedy, you're still gonna like it too. I feel like it's honestly the perfect balance. It's a little bit more based on the comedy than drama, but it really is the perfect balance, and I love both and appreciate both, so this was the perfect show for me. Number 7 is probably a show you've never heard of unless you read books like me and know anything about Vampire Diaries and something called The Secret Circle. They're written by the same author, and they are both shows on the CW that are or were on Netflix. The show I'm going to talk about right now, number 7, is The Secret Circle. It is not on Netflix anymore. The last time I checked, it was gone, but I haven't checked in a while, to be honest. So like I'm going to talk about it a little bit, but not too much, since obviously you can't watch it now. It might eventually get added because Vampire Diaries is like one of the most popular shows on Netflix. So the show is just over the events that happen in the book. I have not read either of those books, but if you like Vampire Diaries and you've watched Vampire Diaries before, which I'll get into that show in a little bit, but you will love The Secret Circle. It's very similar to Vampire Diaries. It's very similar to Riverdale. If you like shows on the CW, then you'll like this show because it's very like dark and gloomy like that, kind of like Vampire Diaries and Riverdale. My favorite type of like dramas to watch are when they're very like dark and gloomy like that. They don't have to be fantasy like Vampire Diaries, but they could be like Riverdale, but I like those type of shows. If you like dark and mysterious shows like that, or fantasy in general, some drama in there, then you're really going to like this show. So ultimately it's about a secret circle. This girl moves to a town and she finds out that she's a witch. She's a part of this secret circle of witches. It's been so long since I watched this. They have to do magic like within the circle. All of these characters are in high school and drama happens, it deals with magic stuff. It's a lot of like good versus evil. There's not a lot of action, but there's a little bit like romance drama as well. It's really, really good. No one knows about this show. It's really underrated. When people ask me for recommendations of shows like that people never talk about, have never heard of, I always say The Secret Circle. But yeah, I don't think it's on Netflix anymore, so I'm just gonna move on. Number 5 and 6, I actually switched around here recently because of the newest season, and that is 13 Reasons Why. This is a Netflix original show. I'm sure you all have seen it. If you haven't seen it, you've heard about it. First season of 13 Reasons Why is amazing. I have read the book. I read the book. I have a full video over this book and the TV show. It is the 13 Reasons Why tag. I will link it down below. If you've read or seen either, you don't have to read the book to watch that video. Season 1 is amazing. It's just done so perfectly. I can't rave about season 1 enough. Season 2 was a letdown for me. I did watch the first 7 episodes in one sitting, and it was good. The biggest letdown for me, though, is it's straying too far from the book. So if you didn't read the book and you watched the show, you probably liked it, season 2, because my little sister did. But if you're like me and you've read the book, you probably didn't like season 2 because it just strays way too far away from the book. I'm still gonna recommend this show to you, but it is about this girl that commits suicide, and she leaves tapes behind to the people that contributed to her committing suicide. Season 1 is about all the people listening to those tapes and the drama that comes along with it. Then season 2 is all about the case that goes with it, with her parents trying to sue the school for everything that happened. The case is not in the book at all, so like all of season 2 is just like not in the book, and I just didn't like it because I thought some characters did things that they wouldn't have done in the book. They added a lot to the story that I just felt like was unnecessary, and I overall just think season 2 is unnecessary. I can't believe they're getting a season 3. I heard that the girl that plays Hannah Baker isn't even in season 3, so I don't know what they're gonna do with season 3. I don't know how they can keep like continuing it. Number 5 on this list is Gilmore Girls. Oh my god, I love Gilmore Girls. Gilmore Girls has a very specific humor, and it's really hard to understand at first. I found it so hard to understand, but then I realized it was a lot like my humor, like personally, and this show is known for the characters talking really fast, so you have to keep up. So you have to get used to that too. There's no other show like Gilmore Girls. It is so special and original, the way the humor is and how fast they talk, and just like the overall like small town vibe, drama type of show it is. If you don't already know, Gilmore Girls is based around 2 girls, a mother and a daughter. Their last name is Gilmore, and they live in the very small town of Stars Hollow, and it basically just follows them living their life in Stars Hollow, living in a small town, all the drama that comes with it. It is pretty funny once you start to understand the humor. It starts out with Rory, the daughter, is in high school, and it follows her all through high school and all through college, but it is based in this small town of Stars Hollow. Lorelai, the mother, is a manager at a hotel. It's basically following her in this small town working at this hotel. It has a lot of family drama, and I think it's very original because of that too. I've never seen a show where they focus so much on family dynamic, but you see these same characters and you don't think you're gonna get attached to them, because it's like one of the characters is a woman that owns a dance school, like the mayor. Another character is a chef at the hotel. You don't think these characters are going to be important and you're going to get attached to them, but you do, and you don't think much will happen with them because it's so realistic in this small town. But so much stuff happens. Me growing up in a small town, I would never think I would want to like stay on top of the drama in this fictional small town, but I did. I loved it so much. I think people that live in cities will really like this show because they don't really know like how the small town dynamic works, so I think they'll be really intrigued. Also, if you're obsessed with like Ivy League schools like I am, I always have been since I was little, you'll like this. Rory is like super smart, and she goes to an Ivy League school. And yeah, when I was younger, this show was always on the TV when I got home from school, and I remember hating it. And I think I was just like too young. I couldn't understand like what was so interesting about it. I didn't understand the humor, or like I just wasn't old enough to really like appreciate this series. But if you're like me and you're a little bit skeptical, just like watch the first few episodes like I do with every show, and you will get hooked on it. A Year in the Life is not as good in my opinion. I didn't like it as much, but it was cool to see those characters like in the future. And yeah, I feel like I should stop talking about that one now because I've talked a lot about it. My 4th favorite show on Netflix is Bates Motel. I'm surprised a lot of people don't know about this one either. I was always intrigued by like the cover image of this show on Netflix, and one day I just randomly clicked on it and was hooked ever since. This show is super original too. It's super like freaky. Not necessarily like creepy. It is a little creepy actually, but it's just like freaky. And I don't want to say why because I don't want to spoil it for any of you, but we are following Norman Bates, which if you haven't seen American Psycho, watch American Psycho, the movie on Netflix, before you start this. That movie is about a serial killer named Norman Bates. This show is following Norman Bates as a teenager and how he came to be this serial killer. And it's not like you think, trust me, you think there's like a very typical, predictable way to do this, but they did not do it in the predictable way. The stuff that happens in the show is just so crazy and like beyond me. But you will actually get attached to Norman, even though he is the bad guy in the show, obviously. He's good-hearted and he wants to be good, he just can't. There's just like certain circumstances. But yeah, we follow him and his mother. His mother buys a motel in a small town, middle of nowhere, to kind of start over, and they call it Bates Motel, obviously. Following them two and his brother and a few other people in the town, like we follow the sheriff and all these people that are staying at this motel. It's just like, I don't want to give too much away, but obviously the whole point of the show is to figure out how Norman became this serial killer. And so there's a lot of drama, a lot of intense, dark drama. It's not super gory, but like there is some stuff in it. It's not like American Horror Story or anything like that. But yeah, this show is so underrated too. Like the people that watch it really love it, like me. My other little sister really loves this show too. This is something that could actually happen in real life and probably has happened, and it just like mind F's me. But yeah, you'll definitely be addicted to this show. It is So addicting. I think it's 5 seasons long, so not too long of a series. So if you're wanting to watch something that won't take you forever, you want to be like super hooked into it, just watch the first couple episodes and you will love this. I know a lot of my show recommendations are girly because I am a girl, but Bates Motel is what I recommend to guys all the time. My older brother likes it too, so I know that like guys like this show too. So yeah, it's very like gender equal, like both genders watch this show, I feel like. So if you're looking for a show to watch with your like boyfriend or girlfriend, this would be a good one. So now we're getting to the top 3. So these are like my favorite Netflix shows of all time. I'm gonna try to be fast because I am losing lighting like a mother. But number 3 on this list only has 2 seasons and it kills me, but at the same time I love it because I'm like actually watching the show as it's like coming out, and that is Riverdale. There's a huge fan base for Riverdale, so if you haven't heard of Riverdale, like, do you live under a rock? Like, I'm currently towards the end of season 2, so I haven't even like technically finished everything that's on Netflix, but I had this show at number 3 after watching the first season. And that should say something. After 1 season, it was number 3 on my favorite Netflix shows of all time. I even have Riverdale merch. I have this, it's a little bit dirty, but I have a Southside Serpent hat. And then I also have a t-shirt that says Riverdale 9 because that's Archie's football number. So I'm representing my baby Jughead and also my baby Archie. My favorite character personally is Veronica, but when it comes to male characters, it has to be between Jughead and Archie. I can never decide because I'll start to think I like one and then I start liking the other and then I'll start liking them. And they're kind of like good versus evil, so I just like can't decide which side I'm on. But anyways, Riverdale is this town, this small town, and we follow a bunch of high school students, but we also follow their parents. Their parents play a very big role in this show, which I like because I feel like it's very realistic. I hate when shows don't have the parents at all and it's just the high school students. It's just so unrealistic. This show is on the CW, so it's the same as like Vampire Diaries and The Secret Circle. It's very dark. It's not fantasy. It is like the real world, I guess. It's just a dark and like gloomy town and just like a lot of dark drama. There's a lot of mystery, which I love. Yeah, it's based off the Archie comics, which I'm sure you guys already know that too. That's where they got the characters from. We find out in the beginning of the show that a kid at this high school named Jason Blossom is missing. They're trying to figure out where he is, if he died, who killed him, and all the drama that goes along with that. I will say season 2 strays away from Jason after a while because you do slowly uncover things. Obviously, it is a mystery. You eventually figure out what's going on. But yeah, I love Riverdale so much. It is so addicting. If you like drama, you're gonna love this. If you love high school drama, you're gonna love this. Dark drama, like East Side versus West Side type of thing. There's some gangs in here, there's mystery, you know, people are getting murdered. They also have a lot of like music in the show, like a lot of the characters are like musically talented. I just love the like character dynamic in the show. These characters are like my favorite characters of all time. They're so like unique in their own ways and they're so like complex characters too. I will forever be a fan of this show. Like, it's a good show all around, and it's gonna stay a good show for a long time. So I know there's like a bunch of hype and like people are recommending this show all the time, but seriously, this is a really good recommendation. Like, people are recommending it for a reason. If you haven't watched it and you like all the stuff that I've talked about so far, then you need to start it. Number 2 on my list, I've already mentioned a couple times, but that is The Vampire Diaries. I started watching The Vampire Diaries when it first came out on TV because my friend at the time had read the books and she was super, super excited to watch the TV show, so I watched the first season with her and then just kind of forgot about it. I was really young. I was in like middle school, I think 8th grade. I randomly just started watching season 2 and got hooked on it. Season 5 was out on Netflix, and so I watched season 2, 3, 4, and 5 like literally in 2 weeks, like watched them so fast. And then season 7 was about to come out on TV, and so I watched season 7 and 8 on TV, which those are like the worst seasons out of the whole show, but the show is still really, really good. If you're not into vampires or like any fantasy stuff like that, you are still going to like this show. Like, trust me, there's so much drama and you will get super addicted to the characters. It's very like realistic fantasy too. It's not like a high fantasy or anything. We're following vampires in this small town. Again, why are shows always based in small towns? We also follow one or two witches too. It's heavily focused on vampires. We're following a girl named Elena Gilbert who is a human. She is just like a regular teenager going to high school. The new guy shows up. He's in all black, like leather. Seems like a bad boy, and she's just like super intrigued by him. He's super intrigued by her. He feels like he's seen her before or like met her before. It goes off from there. That's like literally 0.0001% of the series because it's so long. It's 8 seasons and so much happens. My favorite season personally is season 5. I think it's season 5. It might be season 6. My favorite characters are Catherine and Elena. I can never choose between the two. But I really like Catherine. I feel like she's a very special villain. There's no other like villain like her. But I like Elena too. And of course I love Stefan and Damon. I love Damon just a tad bit more. Damon Salvatore is the love of my life. But yeah, I don't want to give too much away. This show is just so addicting. This is the best drama on Netflix. It really is. My best friend from back home, my college roommate, I tried to get her to watch The Vampire Diaries like this whole past school year, and she never did, and I kept recommending it, and a couple of these other shows. She finally started The Vampire Diaries and she was like so addicted to it, like literally locked in her room like at all times watching The Vampire Diaries, which I don't blame her because when I first watched it, I was super addicted to it like that too. I've been wanting to rewatch it for so long because I've never completely watched the series on Netflix altogether up until season 8 because I did watch 3 seasons like while it aired on TV. So I am due for a rewatch for sure. That should say a lot since it's 8 seasons. I know a lot of guys that watch it and really loved it too. So again, this is another gender equal show. I know more girls than guys, but like there are a couple guys I know that were really obsessed with this show. So you should definitely check it out if you're looking for a drama. There's a lot of like romance drama, fantasy, it's small town drama, a lot of like life and death stuff. It's very, very dark and gloomy. Just like my cup of tea. I just love Vampire Diaries so much. Number 1 on this list, this is my top recommended Netflix show, and that is Black Mirror. This is a Netflix series, the best show on Netflix, and the fact that Netflix like created it is just like so crazy. It's been around since 2011. A lot of people don't know that. I first watched this show in 2014. No, it was 2015. I think it was 2015. But when I first watched it, I couldn't believe it had been around for so long and I hadn't seen it. And now, like this past year, the new season that came out, so many people started watching it and like didn't know about it. And I'm like, it's been around since 2011 and people are just now like finding out about it, but it is for good reason. This show is the most original show. There's no other show like it. You don't have to watch it in order because there are different characters for every episode. There's a different storyline for every episode. Every episode is based in the future, whether it is like forever in the future, a little bit in the future. It's all based in our world in the future. And again, every show is different. Every show has different characters. And I thought I would hate that, but for it to feel as realistic as it does, like it's necessary. I have a list I've made of my favorite episodes. So if you are wanting like a recommendation on what episodes to watch first, I will totally like pin that comment down below maybe in the future if you guys are interested. Oh my god, this show is so good. I recommend this show so much. This show you actually can learn something from. It is very important for our society. A lot of people don't know this, but the reason it's called Black Mirror is because for every episode and after, I believe, it might be either or. I can't remember if it's before or after, but the screen goes black and in turn creates a black mirror on your screen, aka you can see yourself in your screen and the screen is like black, so it's a black mirror. And there's a reason for that. They want you to reflect on yourself. I believe it's after the episode. They want you to reflect on yourself and kind of where your life is going and what you're doing, what your habits are, but also like where society is going. It's just so good. It's so relatable. It's just crazy to think of all these things that could happen. And the writers of this show are geniuses, and I understand why it takes so long for new seasons to come out. There's only like 4 to 6 episodes per season at a time. The show is so crazy. It's just mind-blowing. I don't even know how to explain it. I just want you guys to, start the first couple episodes and just try it out, because if you want a show where you're literally mind-effed, I don't want to cuss, it will mind-eff you. Like, There's no other show like this. I always recommend this to guys too. So it is gender equal because some episodes are about guys, some are about girls. Like, it's not gender specific. Netflix has it set up to where it jumps between seasons and episodes. Don't freak out when you see that, but there's a reason. It's because they have a specific timeline that they want you to watch it in, but you don't have to watch it in that timeline. You can just watch random episodes that you want. I firmly believe like everyone needs to watch this show. Everybody. Like every episode too. Like, don't miss out on any episodes, seriously. I think my favorite one is called White Christmas. There's a couple others I really like, but I can't think of the name. I don't know how else to explain it other than it is always set in the future, and every episode is a different like futuristic theme. Sometimes it's different like devices they're focusing on, maybe just like society in general. It's really hard to explain, but you'll understand the whole like concept of it and the whole show after you watch a couple of them. Some of them are like just like 80% of the episodes are just so crazy, and it gets you really thinking and like just mind F's you. And that's why it's #1 on here, because there's no other show that's like that for me. I love all these dramas and these comedies and whatnot, but like there's no other show like Black Mirror. I'll need to watch it seriously, and you will finish it really soon. I think every episode is an hour long, and there's 4 to 6 episodes per season. I believe there are 4, maybe 5 seasons. I think there's 4 seasons. It's definitely worth it. If you're gonna take anything from this whole video, if you want a drama recommendation, watch The Vampire Diaries or Riverdale. If you want a recommendation for like the best show on Netflix that will literally get you thinking and like mind boggle you, then watch Black Mirror. Okay guys, those are all my Netflix recommendations. I've definitely watched more than 10 shows on Netflix, but these are just my favorites. If you like this video, I know it's not bookish, it's kind of a different video for me. Please give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already, of course, I would really appreciate it, and I will see you guys in my next video. Deuces.